Okay, welcome to Speak. Forgive the background noise. Apparently, there's a lot going on outside. um, okay, welcome to Speak. I'm Linton Williams. I just finished watching the 76ers Nets game. Game 3, the third game in the playoffs. And so, what I want to speak on real quick is why I'm starting to dislike the NBA more and more. This is not an NBA bash video, but this is an NBA like pay attention to the fucking fans video. Pay attention to the fans who are commercial fans, the ones who are going to root for their teams no matter what. And then pay attention to the fans, the ones who know a little bit more about basketball. We're not experts, but you know, we know a little bit more, so we really don't want to be treated like children. I think just like in society, there are different demographics. I think there are different demographics of fans, and I don't really think the NBA really does a really good job addressing the different demographics of fans. I think they just it's like a net. They just throw out a widest net as the largest net they can, instead of focusing on the different demographics of fans and what those fans would need, or it's I guess it's a more unique way, or a more niche way of looking at advertising to a core group. But um, so this is my issues, and these are the issues I have with today's game. Okay, um, number one, you guys can look this up. I'm not gonna go back and replay the video. Um, Number one, at the beginning of the game, Nick Claxton. I mean, and how asinine it is to be down 2 games and putting yourself and your team in a position to actually lose the game because you want to posture over a play. I mean, like, it's like these dudes don't even realize what it looks like when they've made it versus the people who haven't. And they're still, behaving like it's immature to cost your team the game or the possibility of losing the game over what? Okay, so you walk over the dude. You walk over and beat. He obviously tried to kick you. So I don't even understand how that's not an ejection. Not like I wanted to be ejected, because once again Claxton did something stupid. Embiid followed up with something more stupid, because the the first thing is, when the first incident occurs, people are already looking in that direction. Now you're a little bit it's a little bit more ridiculous if you follow up with something in that moment. So you try to kick him. Okay, you don't get ejected. Now, crazy thing is, the incident happens. Like most normal human beings, everybody should be like, okay, let's get back to the game and focus on the game. But no, but Nick Claxton again postures over a play and gets ejected. Now he puts his team in jeopardy. Now, James Harden's extension of his arm to the groin, okay, I think it's of Royce O'Neal. I'm like, I didn't really see that as an ejectable play, because obviously they're playing basketball, but I'm like, he's extending his arm. But I don't know if you've ever played basketball. Sometimes you're extending your arm trying to clear a guy away, and depending on how that guy moves, sometimes you hit him in a place you don't mean to. Now, do I believe that James Harden was trying to hit the dude in the groin? I don't, because he doesn't have any history of doing stuff like that. So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt until there's a history there or something like that, and say, well, okay, that's not an ejectable play. But he gets ejected. Okay? Now, this game was lost on player immaturity, mental mistakes from that immaturity, a horrible coaching job in this sense. Jacque Vaughn is proven to be a good coach to this point, but this was a horribly coached game because, and I'm going to say this because Cam Johnson in the third quarter had 11 points, and he was clicking. In the fourth quarter, what happened? I don't. It's almost like you must be trying to lose the game to deliberately move away from someone who's hot. Because anyone who's played basketball understands, guys on a streak, you got to ride him until he misses 2 or 3 shots. But I'm like, the crazy thing about Cam Johnson, I think he only got 1 shot in the fourth quarter, which I'm like, what's Jacque Vaughn thinking? What's happening? And even worse than that, I think at the end of the third quarter, I think the beginning of the fourth, they put in Joe Harris, and Joe Harris gets took three or four 3-point shots that Cam Johnson should have gotten those shots. He should never pulled him out of the game while he was still hot, because moving from third quarter to fourth quarter, you give a little break there. He has a little break. But then why does this dude who scored 11 points in the third quarter only get, I think it was 1 shot, maybe 2, in the fourth quarter? And I'm like, so coaching, player mental mistakes, player immaturity. I wouldn't say terrible officiating, but I wouldn't give the officiating a pass on this one, because I think the Harden ejection, which should not have happened in my opinion, I think obviously Claxton should have been ejected, because that's huge player maturity there. And then mental mistakes, even down to the end of the game with Royce O'Neal throwing the ball away for the last play of the game. You look at all those things, and you know this was just this to me, this was a really bad loss. You know, when we look at it overall, the Brooklyn Nets as a team, this is a really bad loss, and I think this is going to be a scarring loss if they get swept. Meaning, if they don't win the next game in Brooklyn, I mean, I think this is a really bad way to go down the end of the season. So, and even if they don't win that game, the final game, they can't get swept with these mental mistakes and the lack of growth from this game and into that final game. You know, these guys are there's a lot of talent here. I mean, you know, like I said, Cam Johnson was on a roll. Mikal Bridges has been killing it through the whole playoffs. But I really see how coaching has caused an issue in some of these things. And I'm just talking about timing of substitutions, even me as a fan trying to figure out the substitution. Not like I have to as a fan, because coaches have those jobs, because, you know, like I said, I've followed Jacque Vaughn most of his career as a player, and I know he was basically hard-nosed, defensive, run the team point guard. He wasn't a scoring point guard, you know, but he's a hard playing every night type dude. So I don't understand some of these substitutions, and I don't understand Jacque Vaughn from a player perspective, why Cam Johnson wasn't put in a position in the fourth quarter to finish out this game, because in the third quarter he was the reason why I think the game didn't get out of control. So, and between the last game, I think where he had 28 points, and some great highlights in this game in that third quarter where he started putting it together. I mean, it's really shocking to me and disappointing. Um, and and it carries a larger negative air over it for me um, than it probably should. But they really have to put it together and either win the next game or leave it all on the floor. Without the immaturity and the mental mistakes, because you can't, going from the Kyrie Irving trade, the Durant trade, it's like you really want the the effort and the everything going in the other direction. I think the way they've played since Mikal Bridges trade and Cam Johnson, I think they've played like moving in a positive direction, like the Brooklyn Nets are moving towards growth in a positive direction. But I think these mental collapses and maturity here, I think those are a red flag, and I think those are things that have to be addressed, especially you know the posturing. I mean, just the Nick Claxton ejection is, I mean, 100%. I believe between those fourth quarter decisions with Cam Johnson and Nick Claxton posturing and being ejected, I think those are the two crucial components for why the Brooklyn Nets lost this playoff game. Um, but yeah, I wanted to speak on that. So you guys chime in, give me some feedback. Agree, disagree. What are your thoughts? And you know, as a new channel starting out, it'd be great if you guys would subscribe. Just different perspective on things other than what's already on the internet. All right.